When a person learns that they have cancer, it's overwhelming. Their life changes. I volunteer because of cancer in my own family. My brother had cancer, and I just want to give back what I saw done for members in my own family. SOMC Cancer Center has some advantages that I think you won't find other places. It's all here under one roof. The patients come in and out with smiles on their face. It's being done right here in our own little town of Portsmouth.
The SOMC Cancer Center. Very good things are happening here.
Diane Punk from the Water Department retired last Friday after 30 years of service, and so we're mourning her loss, and we just want to thank her publicly. You know, there'll be times that we'll have an opportunity in the future to do that, but Diane gave us 30 years and of remarkable service. Also, we have the retirement of Tim Knight. He retired also last Friday from the street department. I can't say those great things about Tim as I could Diane, but Tim was a great employee, a good guy. We're going to miss him a lot because he contributed a lot to the street department. And years 8, that's what I had written down, but I wasn't sure that was correct. But Tim also is going to be missed tremendously. I've met the last 2 meetings with the Waverly Business Group. Last night was the most recent, and I met with them last month. They're planning several things for the city of Waverly in conjunction with our street festival. They're also planning on doing an open air movie night. Did she come to council and talk about this, Julie? Okay. But she's planning on doing an open-air movie night at Bristol Park. You know, she's been working with Pat Nichols from Bristol on this, and they're just about set up. There was a hold-up with a projector, but I think she's pretty much got that worked out. Don't know how it's going to go, but you know she can do that if she wishes. And the group is also planning on doing the flowers. If you remember last year, they had potted flowers hanging all over the downtown area, which did contribute somewhat to the way that our downtown area looked, and they're doing that again this year. Item number 4 was I turned the list of damages that Dwayne Cutler said that he incurred with the sewer backup in his property over to our insurance company. The insurance company will be handling that. I talked with Dwayne again yesterday, and I told him what I was going to do, and told him that they would be in touch with him. Item number 5, the last and the biggest one, as I reported at the last council meeting, Robin and I will be attending a meeting in Belpre, Ohio on May the 12th. There'll be someone from the governor's office and hopefully the Secretary of State's office there that will give us a little bit more information as to how everything's going to be affected because of reverting back to the village status. Last Monday, I talked to the Secretary of State's office, and I was told by them that our law director would direct us through the process of reverting back to village status. I tried to ask questions as to see how it might affect us, and they were not interested in answering those questions, you know, either because they didn't know, or they just kept saying, well, your law director will lead you through that process. And so I asked if they could give me information on if we wanted to contest the census, and they faxed me down a paper, and I will read that to you. It says that the legislating authority of Waverly, which would be council, may by resolution direct the city auditor to make an enumeration. Upon presentation of the resolution to the city auditor, the auditor must cause an enumeration of the population of Waverly to be taken. Within 5 days from the time the city auditor is directed to cause the enumeration to be taken, he or she must appoint 5 persons to make the enumeration. The enumerators may be paid an amount necessary to assure competent personnel, now catch this, but the amount may not exceed $10 per day. Each enumerator must take an oath to make such enumeration accurately and truly to the best of his or her skill and ability. Each enumerator must be provided with a book to record the names of each Waverly resident with the name and number of the street of the house in which the residents live. Now catch this again. Within 10 days of being appointed, the enumerators must complete the enumeration and return their books to the city auditor. The city auditor must then report the results to the legislative authority of Waverly and to the Secretary of State. So with that, I just assume, that it's going to be awfully hard for us to find 600 people anyway. And, for 5 people to do the count of Waverly in 10 days, it seems almost impossible. Not saying it couldn't be done, but if we're going to do that, council is the one that has to by resolution, do that count. Another point that I'd like to make is the fact that in talking with the Census Bureau and looking at their websites, in 1990 they had us numbered at 4477. In the year 2000, they still have us numbered even after the recount. That according to the Census Bureau, we were still at 4433. 2009, they did an estimate of Waverly. Now how they estimate that, I don't know, but it was 4480, which was the highest, and this year, with our count, the census count was 4408. So that concludes my mayor's report, and if you guys so desire to wish this great task on Harvey, it's up to you.
Is there any time limit?
I asked, how long we had to do this. Now, when we received notification, and I tried to find the paper today, and Robin has probably filed it somewhere, but I could not find the paper the date of when I received it. But it goes, their recognition, the state's recognition as a city for Waverly to be a village will be 30 days after we receive that notice, which will be within the next week or two.
It was the 30th of March.
It was the 30th of March, so the 30th of April would have been 30 days.
But here's the thing. I asked them if there was a deadline as to when they could do that, and they looked, and she said, I don't see anywhere where there's a deadline that you have to do this, but she said it would just be prudent if we planned on doing it, to do it as quickly as we possibly could. So
I found out something interesting from the Ohio Municipal League. Sent them an email asking some of the same questions, and I thought this was interesting. The structure of your government is determined by your charter and will not change as a result of the census. In fact, your authority to function as a municipality is in the charter, and that will not change. And then they go on to say, however, civil service, health district statutes, collective bargaining will be impacted. These issues you should discuss with Waverly's legal counsel. It sounds like the charter is powerful.
I have been told that, from several people. Depending on who you talk to is what information you get, Dick, and that's why I contacted Marie last Monday and told her that I needed her to work on this and work on it as quickly as she could, get all the information, and do as the Secretary of State said, direct us through the process, whatever it may be. Now, I'm sure that she won't do that until Robin and I will be at the meeting at Belpre the 12th. And, I don't know how much, a lot of times you go to those meetings expecting all kinds of information, you come away with very little. And that may be the case, I hope not. But either way, it is what it is, I've heard all kinds of reports as to how it's going to affect our government. Some people says it won't at all since we're a chartered city, and other people says the charter has nothing to do with it, that we will revert back to city status according to the Ohio Revised Code, and on and on and on. So, we don't know yet, basically, is bottom line. And, we do, according to Sharon Manson, again, it really does not affect the school hardly at all. So, you know,
Except they have to change the name on all the buses.
and that may be a bigger job than what we have.
Yes, I have a application here for Steve Grooms. He applied for a position in the street department. Looks like he graduated from the JVS and then studied electric engineering at ITT. He did work at Masco previous to getting laid off. I believe Dean has talked to him. He seems to recommend him, so I guess I'll move that Steve Grooms be hired on the street department as a replacement for those that are left.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion on Steve Grooms?
Was that advertised citywide employees?
Nope.
Was there any applications, any thing put out about a job being open in the city and taking applications? That was what the past procedure has always been, in-house first and then
I've never done it for us. I've never done it in the street department, and you guys have always hired somebody that's what.
Well, maybe you haven't. Maybe you haven't done it, but they do it every place else in the city. No,
Not been done in a lot of places.
There's nothing that says it has to. I don't know.
Usually the mayor's staff will post it.
I assume this is for the.
I do.
It's for a laborer's job.
Yeah, okay.
Replace him.
Yeah, okay, that's what.
Water rate analysis from the Rural Community Assistance Program. Nathan Davis did this analysis for us for the 3-year period, and he has made some recommendations. What he wants to do, since we're losing Masco, and that's a large part of our water revenue, he wants to take the rate increase from over 4,000 gallons to up to the first 1,000 gallons. And he's going to do it in 3 steps. And we would probably have to change the date because the date on this is effective January 5th, 2011. But the first 4,000 gallons will be charged at $7.34 per thousand. And that's a minimum bid for all users consuming 4,000 gallons per quarter or less shall be issued for $29.36 per quarter per customer. Over 4,000 gallons will be charged at $3.68 per thousand gallons. And then in 2012, the first 4,000 gallons would be charged at $9.18 per thousand. A minimum bill for all users consuming 4,000 gallons per quarter or less would be issued for $36.72 per quarter. Over 4,000 gallons would be charged at $4.02 per thousand gallons. And then a water rate to take effect January 2nd, 2013, and all subsequent years after 2000 is an automatic 3% increase in the 2012 rate shall take effect on January 1st, 2013. All subsequent years after 2013, a 3% increase to the year prior rate shall take effect annually. So what it means is we're going to raise the rates for the next 2 years, and then after on the 3rd year and thereafter it will be a 3% increase accounting for inflation. And this will get us that we can pay for what we're actually making and selling. And our water rates are lower than most around that we've checked on anyway.
And
so
what
I don't
will
think
they be in comparative in 2 years? Are we anywhere near anyone else, or are we going to be a lot higher?
we're not going to be higher at all.
And the bottom line is you cannot sell a product cheaper than you can make it. I mean, there are costs that you incur when you try to give a good product, and all of the chemicals and everything that they use for testing, and the way that they treat the water, the licensing fees through the state, and everything else keeps increasing, and we're not keeping up with times, and that's one of the reasons that Harvey's struggling, trying to make their budgets work every year. And Jim struggles, you know, and the thing that we have to do, everyone knows that we have the best water in the country. I mean, you know, the county people that in the county, they come into the city and you hear great comments, and there's a reason for that. Is because we treat the water right, and we do it well. Anytime that the EPA or the state people come down and does a walkthrough or does a check, they always get superior ratings. We hardly ever have a hit on anything, but we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we start letting our plant go downhill. You know, and if we're selling our product cheaper than a lot cheaper than it costs us to make it, it just doesn't make good sense. Jim, if you want to expound on that, or
it's self-explanatory if you sit down and actually read it, and it'll explain a lot to you why we have to do what we do. But if you want to keep what you have now, it's something that should be looked at.
I happen to be chairing the committee at Bristol Village, a resident sales and marketing advisory committee. I don't know if you all are aware of the fact that Bristol Village now has 75 renters. We are not getting new residents to Bristol Village. The economy is a big part of it. People can't sell their homes, therefore they can't pay the entrance fees and so forth. But it's interesting. I reviewed questionnaires that are sent to people who tour the village and opt not to live in the village. And one of the biggest reasons that they do not want to come to Bristol Village is because of the city of Waverly. And they specifically mention the neighborhood around Bristol Village and the downtown area and a lot of other things. They just do not like the city of Waverly. And anything that this council can do to help the Merchants and Business Association, to clean up the downtown area, to spruce up the downtown area, anything that any of you can do, to do what I did today, file formal complaints about some of those properties in your wards that need either demolition or considerable sprucing up. Anything that can be done to improve our city, I think, is important. I was extremely disappointed. Last Thursday evening, this same Business and Merchants Association had a Wake Up with Waverly meeting at the Emmett House. They sent out 300 invitations. They had 6 people who attended as a result of those 300 invitations. And they were sent to the Chamber of Commerce, they were sent to all business and merchants in the city. And the apathy, the lethargy in this community is terrible. I think it's evidenced by people not running for mayor, not running for council. Come November, we aren't going to have any election for city council or mayor or auditor. I don't know what it's going to take to wake this city up, to spruce itself up, to do things so that it's attractive for people to move here, to do business here. And somehow, we all need to wake up and do what we can. I know finances are a problem, but somehow we've got to do a better job of selling this community.
I just want to report on the general fund. Beginning the month, we had $610,493.11. The bills for this council for the month was $3,776.40, with a balance of $606,716.71.
I have to say that's better than I
That's better
thought we
than
would be.
last month.
Yes.
Yes.
I know 2 months ago I was pretty scared looking at the figures. That's better than I anticipated.
That's a lot better than I think a lot of people were anticipating being at this point in the year.
It's almost worth a sigh of relief, to be honest. Okay, anything else, Joyce?
That's all I have. Thank you.
I like that balance. And I'm sort of glad to see that something maybe is being done with the water and sewer department. They've been struggling for 2 years, at least 2 years.
3 years.
And it's a place where every time we got ready for council, why we had to watch what we paid because they never had the funds to pay it. We only paid the things that we had to pay until the next time got money in. And it's been a monthly thing with them. And it's, you know, it's stress on them and a stress on my department also. And I'm really glad to see this taking place. We don't know what will happen in the rest of the city, but maybe we can take care of that part anyway. I just need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on the bills?
This is right here, Harvey, you give out to us? Right? Okay. I'm just curious, looking down here in the police fund, I see here the Bowery Ford, $9,022. I just wondered what that was for.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
They bought a vehicle over there, and right now it's all stenciled up for Crime Watch. And I don't really know the reason that they bought it except for that reason. I've never heard, and it wasn't asked of my department about getting it or anything. It just showed up. And
is it a Crime Watch vehicle?
well, that's what's on the side of it.
It's a police vehicle to be used for anything. And again, of course, Harvey knows that that's another dilemma that we're going to be facing because of all of our maintenance on our cruisers is starting to take off because of the high mileage and all that stuff. You know, we don't have many cruisers that's in really good shape. But that vehicle can be used for anything that the police department needs necessary.
Well, that Crime Watch vehicle with the new paint job and so forth has been around for a couple of months.
It was donated.
Yeah, there's one that's been around for...
The car has been around for probably a year.
Don't say that. It's been around for a year. Is that the same
which
deal?
Which one was it they bought? Was it a brown Malibu?
What it is. You know what it is? What is it?
Which one? It's an Explorer.
Well, Explorer.
They had a cruiser that they repainted and lettered for crime prevention. But it was also driven by one of the officers on duty a lot of times, using answer calls.
That was an old cruiser, right?
It was an old cruiser, right.
Yeah.
You know, a discussion I had with Larry, you know, was that there were some maintenance issues with it. I think transmission went out of it.
Front end went out.
Front end went out, and it wasn't cost effective to repair it, so they were going to replace it. And he found this Explorer that was used. He got what I thought was a pretty good price because I bought a used one for the fire department. He got a better deal than I did. But he had it lettered that way, but he's going to use it for patrol, use it in the wintertime. It's four-wheel drive. So it's just a replacement, a used vehicle replacing a more used vehicle.
So the other one's gone?
What did you do with the other one? They jumped it?
I have no idea what.
I think they traded it.
No, right now it's sitting down to the sewer plant to be sold under sealed bid, but the front end is basically destroyed on it. It's almost in disrepair. The transmission went out on the truck that they got from the military. The transmission went out of it, so Larry's going to use this as a winter vehicle too.
So the truck will be disposed of also?
The truck will also be sold under sealed bid, from what I understand.
I remember right, you got a pretty good deal on the truck. It was almost just the expenses to go
The
get
truck
it.
was basically free, you just had to pay for the paint job on it.
Yeah.
So I think he's looking at replacing both of those vehicles with this one. Not to mention all the other repairs he's having.
Right now, Larry's having to drive one of the cruisers because his own vehicle that he drives is in repair right now also. And remember how old they are. He hasn't had any new ones in a long time.
Yeah.
If we were smart, we would go back to the old system where we were buying 5 cruisers a year. It'd be a lot smarter than spending the money we're spending.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the state match is still there like it used to be.
Yes, it is.
Is it? I know at one point they said once you're out of the program, it was harder to get reestablished.
When you can get close to $80,000 out of 4 cruisers, you're basically paying for 5 cruisers for $20,000 a year.
Yeah, it ended up being...
It is almost foolish for us not to get back into that program.
It would almost worked out to be just the interest on the loans, what it costs per year.
Exactly.
Now, I know the one, I was thinking the year after we dropped out, if I remember right, there were a lot of people in that program and we went to like an end of a waiting list. Does that sound possible?
Something happened with
and we couldn't
some
get in.
Sheriff departments weren't able to get funding for the cars or something, and there was a problem with being able to sell them that year that you're talking about.
Okay, and that was when everything, we just never got back on track with that.
Well, and then Larry kind of was hurting for money at that time too. There was some money issues there and some other things.
I agree. That's one of the better programs we've probably ever done.
Right now, he's spending anywhere from $600 to $1,000 a year per cruiser just to keep them on the road.
Above and beyond normal.
Above and beyond normal maintenance.
Next council meeting is Tuesday the 17th, 7 o'clock. Planning Commission meeting is Wednesday the 11th, 10 o'clock a.m. Need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.